All right, let's get started. Do we have a care difference story this morning? So we had EH's son went into the hospital for what was supposed to be just a day procedure, and we got notified late in the day that he had to stay overnight. So both home care and social work were essential in getting somebody to stay with a participant who cannot be left alone, has some pretty significant cognitive impairments. We discussed whether or not it would be appropriate for her to go into an apartment, a hospice type apartment with some supervision overnight, or leave her in her home. And after talking through that, we thought it would be best to leave her at home with some additional home care, so she wouldn't wake up in the middle of the night more disoriented than she already was without her son being there. So great job to the team for that one. All right, after hours report.
I talked to MK about her medications and her appointment today. I went to see MP for home care supplies and medications. 2 wrong numbers. CC was locked out of her apartment. That got taken care of. The home care aide called me and asked me, was it okay to go out and get fast food? So I did some follow-up with that, and she didn't. A need for some incontinence supplies, some refill calls. And then this morning there were 4 calls that were not coming today because it's raining.
All right, ER visits. Any status update?
OE went to the ER on the 13th. She had a fall at home, diagnosed with a fractured pelvis, was discharged back home, is planning to come to the center today, and we will follow up with her in the clinic.
So she didn't call anybody at PACE prior to going?
She didn't notify. She told Jenny when she talked to her yesterday, she said, I know I was supposed to call, but that's why I'm calling you now. So she did notify us afterwards, but didn't call anybody on the weekend.
So did we do some education with her about the on-call number and making
Jenny
sure that she
followed up
calls?
with her and talked with her about letting us know even sooner than what she did. She couldn't call us before she went. So.
Which hospital?
Community.
And is there a family member that we also need to talk to about that?
Her sister was the one that called, so that'll be done.
So we'll also educate her sister. Okay. Nobody is in the hospital right now, so no hospital update. Any facility updates? Do we have an update about OR?
So OR should be going Wednesday. We went over to Manchester to get the physician to see her and complete the paperwork that was needed. It needs to be tweaked, and so I have sent that back over there for Dr. Ackerman to change a few things, and then he will send that on here, and then I will fax it today. So hopefully we'll still be on for Wednesday.
Okay. And the family's on board with that? So the plan
The
is,
son's out of town right now.
I'll go see her at the end of the week.
okay. And so the plan is still for her 2 daughters to go and get her room ready tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
She'll come into the center as normal, and then she'll go from here. Okay. Hot list. We already talked about OE, and we'll do the education. GC, I brought this for Jenny, who is at a training today. After 11 months of wound care, his wound is finally closed. So kudos to the clinic for their hard work with him, and Kat will have to help me out about where it was.
Left issue.
So difficult to heal once you get one there, and they've done a great job in the clinic.
When we started, it was this size, about that big. When I got here in August, and so by Christmas it was half, and now it was.
Good job.
Nice.
MP, Ted went out yesterday to take a look at the ramp. A ramp in front of the house is not going to be an option because of the setup, how close it is to the street, fence, I think he said. They could potentially do a ramp in back, but wanted to discuss first whether or not she's using the wheelchair in the home, and if she is, would it be more appropriate to have one here for her at the center and at home versus putting the ramp in the rear of the house. So I didn't know if therapy could help us out with some
I think
information.
it's more expensive to have one here and at home, given how much it costs to rent it's it's talking about roughly $300 a month to rent another one.
The issue with putting the ramp in, and this is why we talked about that, we just want to be diligent about what the most effective thing to
Right.
do is. It's the cost of the ramp is like $3,000 to put the ramp in the
About
back
the
of the
same
house.
for the
So
chair.
it depends on how long, I guess, we're renting the chair for. Is she using the chair at home?
That was the issue. She's now using the chair at home.
She's using that
Initially, she
specific
wasn't.
chair, correct? Okay.
They're
Mhm.
doing better about using that chair,
Right.
yes.
Okay. So, all right, I'll follow up with Ted then, and we'll look at what the.
So it would be about the same cost, whether it would be the chair or the ramp.
Here's
It
the
would be
question:
same
if
cost.
she continues to deteriorate, is she going to need to come in that chair versus the chair that she's in now? Will she need more support?
Yes.
So, in the long run, it may be more appropriate to the ramp because as she declines, we would be able to continue
Right.
to bring her in.
Right, and if it would get to a point where she would decline, where she couldn't even, if she would need to be a stretcher transport, we would have that opportunity with the new ramp, which we couldn't use the current one.
And I know they've had issues in the past, like on hospital distrarges with the
Right.
stretcher and getting her into the home.
And if we purchase the ramp, we could always reuse it.
around the ramp and go
later
up the
on.
stairs.
Okay, so I'll follow up with Ted and we'll go with the ramp. All right, warm list. LS, she was up there. Is there anything new on her today?
We do have one
Just-
more thing for Briar.
Okay. One more thing for MP.
I'm sorry, we have one more thing for MP.
Service request.
Okay. You can go ahead and do the service request.
There was a service request for hearing aids with her. One thing that we had considered is possibly using a pocket talker with her to see if she would be able to hear. On Friday, I had the opportunity to use 2 different types of pocket talkers. One of them was a sound amplification device, and with that device in a quiet environment, she was able to hear me better when the environment was quiet. But once I was in other environments like the day room or the hall or something like that, she wasn't able to hear me, or she wasn't able to hear the nurse. We had to speak very loud into that device, understanding that that device was a sound amplification device, meaning it's going to amplify every sound in the environment. Whereas the other device, which is one used often for individuals who have hearing loss, it's called a Williams Pocket Talker. It blocks out, it filters out background noise, and it is able to bring speech to the forefront. Like I said, she was able to hear with that one as well in a quiet environment. She was also able to hear the nurse very well, with the nurse being behind her and speaking almost at a whisper in the day room, in the hall, in different environments. Also standing at a distance. I know one of the concerns is when she's in the clinic, she's unable to hear when people are walking by or when someone is near, so she's often yelling out. So when speaking to her at a distance, let's say even at the door of the clinic, she was able to hear well without turning her head. With the sound amplification device, she was able to hear, but she did turn her head somewhat towards the source of the sound. So I'm thinking, either one of those would work right now without purchasing the hearing aids. So it's just a matter of which one we want to go with. With the sound amplification device, doesn't come with headphones, so we would need to purchase headphones for those. So
How does the second one work? Is it headphones, or is it something that goes in her ear?
well, you have an option of getting over-the-head headphones, earbuds, or behind-the-ear headphones. And I don't like earbuds because I don't believe in putting things in people's ears. I prefer the behind-the-ear ones because they're more discreet. So if someone has to wear those, they're like the over-the-head, but you put them on from behind. That way if they have hair, it's not this,
Okay.
it's a little more discreet. So I prefer to use those. It's somewhat tricky when we see them because our first instinct is to put them on like this. So it's a matter of us knowing that we need to put them on from the back in the family or whoever is using them. The Williams device does come with a headphone. It's approximately $140. The Radio Shack sound amplification device is approximately $50 for pretty much baseline headphones. That would be maybe $17. It's gonna be almost $70.
Okay.
So I'm thinking,
So based on what you said, it sounds like she was able to hear a little bit better with the second one that you mentioned, hear from behind her and filter out some of the noises. So thoughts from the team about which one of those?
Does she have behavioral problems or any kind of?
No,
No.
not of like aggressive behavior or something.
Well, just that the amplifier in a noisy environment tends to trigger a response. And if she's got any kind of cognitive issues, typically they don't do well with just pure sound amplification.
So is everybody okay with the second,
Yeah.
the Williams, whatever it was? Okay. So that original request was for hearing aids, but we let the family know we were going to try some other things before doing that. As a team, we didn't feel like she would be able to participate in that entire process for hearing aids, but the goal was to improve her hearing. So I would say that it's approved with some modification. Right. Warm list. I think we said LS was kind of up there as a reminder to keep talking about, unless you have anything additional. We're working to get with the family about that family meeting. And EW and PT.
The meals that we were boxing up in the afternoon, do we need to continue that?
How about for, it may be different for each one of them, for EW?
Well, they're being left. I don't know what the deal was, who was responsible to get them to the participants, but
Jim's
Jim brought it to my attention this morning, and so
Okay.
I don't know how long it's been going on.
I can tell you that PT is aware of their availability and at times refuses them. And the same would be true of EW. A picky individual has her own ideas about what she would like to eat or not eat. So some of it is participant driven and in the moment decision making. I can't speak to whether the food issues, short-term food issues are over yet.
No, they are not.
For EW, we went and moved things from her old apartment to the new apartment. She really didn't have much food except for what had been provided from us in the food pantry. And it was obviously things she wasn't eating. So my concern would be if we don't continue those meals, she'll have very limited ability to get those. So we need to assign someone to take the meal over at the end of the day. Can we work on that with the day room staff to make sure the meal goes with that person home?
So what time would y'all want it delivered? Because it's for dinner, right? So we could get one of the closers to take it over.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
someone in the apartments over there at 5 p.m. So we could take it over at 5.
That would be a good time.
Laura Smith is going back at 5.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And Daniel, you have access to the kitchen, right?
We
All
can.
right, well, we need to make that happen, because that little refrigerator is just so small. We'll keep them, and I'll take you back there and show you in the bigger reach in, and we'll keep them back there and be a better place for them. And then in the afternoon, go back there and get them. And now, are you here at 5?
No.
So if we
All
can,
right, well, we'll
if
talk
we can identify
offline
the
and take
staff
care of
member,
that.
Evelyn can give that person access to the
Okay.
kitchen to be able to take those over, and then we'll make sure we have somebody as a backup.
All right, we'll
Okay.
discuss that offline.
And then for PT, I don't know if anybody else has any additional information about the need for those to continue. We may be able to do that more on a, if he requested basis. He would have the ability to let us know.
We're waiting on Meals. Katie and I have been playing phone tag, but hopefully that should be, I know last time we talked in team we had said Tuesday, Thursday. And so hopefully that will be in place by the end of this week.
So we'll continue his through the end of this week. If we can have Jim check with him when he's here in the day room before he boxes the meal up, so it's not wasted. He usually knows, earlier in the day if he needs that. Okay.
Thanks.
Any other additional service requests other than the one that we just discussed? We have an IDT care plan this morning for TH. So
Yes.
do you want to start?
Yes. So we met last week and had a really positive and productive assessment. Her mood has been really labile, and especially since her last psych appointment. She had a difficult time transitioning to her new psychiatrist, but Kat has done a great job in working with her, as well as Kate, or LCSW. She scored a 29 out of 30 on the mini mental, not a significant change, a little bit of difficulty with short-term memory, which she said is pretty consistent with the way that she's been for the last few years. She scored a +0 on the geriatric depression scale. Typically, in the recent past, when she's been symptomatic, she feels more manic. She doesn't typically feel depressed. So that would be consistent with those feelings. We know that TH perseverates a lot on this idea that she feels like she's at the end of her life, and that's something that she's going to die soon. And so we talked a lot about that. She wanted to know if PACE could support her in the home through end of life, even if she were to decompensate and, like, say, be in a wheelchair was her example. So we talked through that a lot, and I think she feels very supported, and I think that it was reassuring for her to know that we would be able to support her in the community through end of life. She is do not resuscitate, and her daughter is her healthcare power of attorney, and that will remain the same.
Ms. Hester is not religious. She said it's never really been important to her. That's always been the case. She really enjoys, in terms of programming here, the arts and crafts. She feels that her COPD exacerbations keep her from participating in PACE. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that's her perception. She has no religious beliefs affecting her medical care, which is good news for us. And her goals are to increase her PACE attendance. So I don't know what it's been like in the past, but my goals with her would be around just providing pastoral care and counseling for her, just for support, as well as to address some of her fears and perseverations.
Rashmi didn't actually see her for assessment. It looks like the major medical issues are her COPD, which is what her hospitalization was for. And she's on a fairly good medical regimen that we probably could tweak a little bit. I'm not sure where her perception of end of life comes from. That might be a discussion to try to pursue as far as looking at advanced care planning. Her other medical problems look fairly well controlled, and then there's the chronic psychiatric issues, which are currently stable but probably need to be closely developed.
So Tony and I see each other regularly in the clinic and out. Our big things to talk about were her psych management, and that is where her end-of-life issues come in. She was told sometime back that she was going to die from her COPD. So we spent a lot of time talking about the fact that not smoking and taking her medications and staying on those, she kind of determines and helps to determine the length of her life by following those regimens and doing those things. And she's very proud of herself because she hasn't smoked in over a month, and that's a big thing for her. As far as her psych management, we have, she did see Dr. Rosenblatt. She wasn't real happy about that, but she's okay now. We've done some, DC'd her antidepressant and increased her Depakote, and she's doing well with that. I talked to her on the phone last night. And then the other thing is her COPD, and her smoking has a lot to do with all three of those. So she's doing really well right now.
Over the past 6 months, there's been no significant changes in her mobility. She continues to have some weakness in her leg, right more than the left. She has some mild edema. She's had one fall over the past 6 months at home when she was walking outside in some uneven area. But she does have a significant fear of falling. She is not interested in participating in therapy or wellness at this time. She doesn't feel that that's something that's important to her. We continue to encourage her to get up and move around as much as possible, and we'll be there to support her if any issues arise.
For occupational therapy, she does not come to wellness as well. She has come in just in passing, but most of the time she is with recreation and does the walking group. There's no change in her ADL function. I know that she gets home care, which home care will speak about, but does require able to physically dress herself, but does for hygiene purposes require queuing for those purposes and for her IADLs as well. So I'll continue to monitor her for any new needs in the equipment and encourage her to, when she's ready to participate in therapy.
For recreation, on the days that she does attend, she does best when she stays busy. Otherwise, she'll sit in the recliner and fall asleep. She likes to go on all the shopping trips. On the days I go, I'm teamed up with her, and she does a fabulous job. She likes to play Uno, making Chex Mix, snack group. She's done that 2 times over the last 6 months. And she's really big into all of our art projects. She's not bonded with any particular person, but she does socialize with whoever she's sitting with. Goals will be continued socialization and special recreation projects.
Her appetite has been maintained. She's had a 10-pound weight gain since enrollment, but she and I are both in agreement that as she's undergoing smoking cessation, this is not the time to really focus on weight management. She can't handle too many stressors at one time. However, she's very complimentary of her daughter's efforts to help her with restricting her intake at home and purchasing healthier foods and having better snacks. She's a dentulous. She does well on a mechanical soft diet without any difficulty to date. She is reducing sugars in her diet due to a history of diabetes in the past, but again, she sees that as helping her weight management efforts. So there's no big changes at this time, and we will focus on weight management as she feels more confident in her abilities to stop smoking.
We are helping TH in our home for home care on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for 1 hour in the AM and 1 hour in the PM. She's getting help with bathing and dressing at this time. She also has a lifeline in place, and she does get incontinence supplies. Our goals are just going to be remain safe and complete.
I was going to read for Jamal. He had to run and pick someone up. She's independent, alert, and oriented. Participant has a long, clear driveway that leads to a side entrance of the home. Yes, she has a key. The goals will be safe transport to and from the center Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to be picked up between 8 and 8:15 and home around 4 to 4:15.
This is the sim manual for TH. And her caregiver is Heather Mealy, that's her daughter. Her DME equipment and incontinence supplies are incontinence supplies only. Yes to Lifeline, no to Project Lifesaver, no to incontinence. Medication is administered by caregiver. Diet,
Mechanical soft, low concentrated sweet, no added salt. And she does require some setup assist if her hands are really shaking.
therapy,
No.
no. And she has an advanced directive. Transportation,
It was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 to 8:15, and home between 4 to 4:15.
and home care hours, Monday through Friday.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
Wednesday, Friday.
1 hour in the AM and 1 hour in the PM.
Okay. Comments are PACE equipment, caregiver support group, transportation schedule to notify 24 hours in advance for any changes, and after hours process or nurse and on call for nights and weekends.
Can take off the equipment. She doesn't have any equipment.
She has respiratory equipment.
Okay.
She has a concentrator,
Okay.
concentrator and a nebulizer.
So this was her first 6 months, I think. This is the longest period she's been in recent history without multiple hospitalizations. She had hospitalization.
She had 6 in the 6 months before she came to us, and she's had none in 8 months, and she's very proud of that.
No psych admissions.
No psych
So she did
admissions.
go for some
She's had 2
COPD
respiratory.
and some respiratory issues. So, I mean, that's a kudos to the team. We've really stepped up. I know that we were concerned with her when she came in with so many hospitalizations, but we've done a good job really addressing those.
She's done a very good job.
we do our goals then.
Presently, her first problem is a history of falls, and the goal is participant will have no falls with a score level greater than 1 over the next 6 months.
Did she have any falls?
She had one,
She
but
had one in her
there
yard.
was, I don't think there was any injury to that, so,
We want to keep that one, especially if that's such an important goal for her.
yeah.
Her second problem was history of frequent hospitalizations due to her mental health status. Participant will have no hospitalizations over the next 6 months.
Is that something we still want to work on?
Keep that ongoing. Anything else you all want to add?
Is there anything we wanted to do about her perseveration on end of life? Is that a goal, or we just can hit that on one of the other?
I mean, I think if we can just all reiterate it, this was something that she was told by a physician before she came in. Both she and her daughter were at this appointment, and I know that the different physicians that we've had here have addressed it. I know the clinic has addressed it, Kate has addressed it, I have addressed it. So I think it's just something to be reiterated
Is non-smoking a goal for her?
Yes.
right now.
So I think that's another one that probably would be, because it is her fallback when she,
I think we could do not smoking, because I think that kind of relates to some of her perseverations. That's her coping mechanism. So we can continue
Who
to
can write
support
on
that. Who can write on that one?
we will in the
Yeah.
clinic.
I mean, she's not on anything,
But she bought
Tobacco.
herself an e-cigarette, so she is, when she gets really nervous these days, that's what she's using.
There was at one point where she was leaning out the back door and requesting extra oxygen tubing so she could lean out the back door and smoke. So
She actually wanted us to get her a second concentrator to put down in the family room so she could get to the porch and smoke.
So I think it's a big accomplishment for anybody to stop smoking, but to know that that's where she was and where she is now is that she's been smoke-free for a month.
well, it sounds like she's developed a lot of trust with the team in terms of, support for the perception of end of life, and I think, building on that trust, helping her not to smoke, would be important. And I don't see where she's had any recent pulmonary functions or anything that we may be able to give her some. It would help. I don't know her well, so I can't say that. But it would help for her to have objective measurements that might tell her what her estimated life expectancy is. And that may counteract the previous information that she was given. So.
I think it would be important because she is upset that she's gaining weight, but she recognizes that she can't attack everything at one time. And I just reiterate with her, there'll be a time to worry about that. Let's make sure you're not smoking anymore.
Right. I mean, that's why that's a goal. It's so important for the team to be on board so we can, if she says to somebody, I think I've gained a lot of weight, I look horrible, to reassure her that that's not the case. And
Any other goals?
All right. And do we have a quote for the day?
If you think you're too small to be effective, clearly you've never been in the dark with a mosquito.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Oh, good. One more thing. There is a